Forced bonus, sudden death also now causes your next execute to cut deeply, causing the target to bleed for 50% of the damage of the execute, and triggers a thunderclap that deals 100% additional damage. Well, hello peeps. Today we have the upcoming 10.2 changes, and of course we're going to be looking at this in the PvP spectrum, and of course specifically looking at the Soul Shuffle, as usual. I want to start off with the tier sets, and I also want to say that a lot of these are quite interesting, and Blizzard did a very good job at making tier sets that actually like embellish your abilities, make your abilities do something more, or basically even feel like they're like a new ability almost, right? So I think a lot of these are quite good. Starting off with one that's not really good. Some tank ones are just kind of boring. Blood one is just basically just a debuff on hard strike sometimes that reduces the damage the opponent deals to you 10% and 20% increased damage. Of course, it's probably gonna be 50% nerfed in PvP, so I don't know, kind of uneventful in my opinion. Frost, on the other hand, Chill Streak can now bounce off of you. I mean, finally, it's not gonna be necessary for you to like stack up targets to actually do your damage, to do your burst, right? So that's quite big. You're still gonna be able to, right, stack up targets and do your burst, right? But in the cases, in the cases that you can't, right, you can still do single target damage. So I think this is quite a good change, and also kind of like a much needed, a long time needed change to kind of free up the Frost playstyle and make it a lot more consistent, I think, in PvP and PvE. Unholy set bonus, I think, again, just kind of good embellishment to set, right, where it adds another Magus of the Dead, and it also makes Magus of the Dead cleave, right? Also, a lot of these are kind of cleave focuses, you'll see. The Forset is not as interesting, but it just gives your Maguses an amplify, like damage, curse, or whatever, right? Increases the damage you deal by another 5%, so it's okay, but it's like not a big deal as the 2-set, right? Havoc, on the other hand, each slash of Blade Dance has 50% chance to throw glaive at the enemy for 35% damage. Like, I mean, amazing. I mean, there's no way this is not gonna be fun. There's no way this is not gonna look cool, right? As you're just like blade dancing, and it's like, especially like you're hitting more targets, right? You're just gonna throw glaive everywhere. Pew, 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 pew. It's just gonna be so cool, I think. Also, throw glaive reduces the cooldown of Hunt, right? Hunt's damage over time effect is 4 seconds longer. I'm just gonna be amazing. Also, one thing that I do have to say is kind of I guess a complaint, is that a lot of these require you to go a certain play style, basically, or build. You have to take the Hunt, and you have to go throw glaive build, right? Even though we're already going this way, right? Mostly, especially in PvP, I think it's kind of maybe limiting, but it also gives Blizzard, I think, a good chance to just test out some of these things, right? Vengeance, on the other hand, again, one of these tank ones that are just boring, doesn't even add that much to the game, in my opinion. I don't know what to say about it much, really. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't add that much to the gameplay, and I don't think it's gonna be good in PvP, especially compared to the previous one, where you just have Fiery Brand uptime, 60% uptime on your main target, right? So, like, your main target doesn't do damage to you. Balance, the unbalanced druid is getting some, easiness when they go into combat. Overall, one of the ones that are not, like, yeah, not as interesting, right? Because especially when you have Feral under it, where Smoldering Frenzy increases all damage you deal. So every time you do Frenzy, you basically have wings, 10% probably in PvP. And Feral Frenzy's cooldown is now 30 seconds, right? It's, I think, 45 seconds normally. And Smoldering Frenzy makes your targets burn for 10% of your damage. So if you have the Fire Kitty skin from Firelands, it's gonna be very, very cool, like I have. So I'm definitely gonna be playing some Feral in 10.2. We're just gonna skip over the Guardian Druid, and we're gonna go into Restoration. You and your Grow Guardians Nourish now heals 2 additional allies within 40 yards at 40% effectiveness. And Clear Casting now causes Regrow to also cast Nourish. I think it's gonna be cool, interesting, kind of like changes up an ability, but it's yeah, it feels not as eventful as like the Feral one, right? Augmentation, again, kind of a boring one. We'll see if like your Eruption is gonna, like, I don't know, feel better to cast after you've casted these pre-sciences, but it just doesn't feel as good as like other tier sets, right? Similar to Devastation. Devastation is the only problem I have is they're trying to go away from Dragon Rage being like the only time Devastation deals damage, right? But they kind of like then go and make this, you know, 2-set, and it's like, okay, and 4-set, sorry, and it's like, okay, well, so it's now you're doubling down on Dragon Rage, but then you're like changing how, as you see in the changes later, how the damage works, right? Now the Preservation one, on the other hand, is really interesting, right? Power spells basically cast Living Flame on enemies or allies. I think this is gonna be quite cool, quite interesting, especially to see when like when you know the Preservation Invoker is casting their empowered spells, and you just see all these Living Flames flying out. I think it's just gonna be cool, really cool to see, and really cool to play with and, you know, play against. So we'll see. Hunters, I really enjoy. The only one that I don't enjoy is the survival one, but first off, Beast Mastery, Bestial Rat summons a Dire Beast, and Dire Beasts now obey your kill command, so they're doubling down on the kind of Dire Beasts playstyle, which I think is really cool. Again, a set bonus that actually changes up how your ability works, and it's not just damage, right? There's no like percentage here damage or anything, right? This is gonna be as exactly as good as in PvP and in PvE. This is why I really enjoy these kind of tier sets, right? They're gonna be good, you know, no matter what, right? And then it's easier to also tune the class when you just have to tune, right? Okay, this is like broken, maybe just remove it for the next patch, or just tune, you know, remove some damage from here, remove some damage from there. A lot simpler than having to tune, you know, another 20% modifier or whatever. Marksmanship, rapid fire launches volley. Very good. Legacy of the Windrunner now gives volley 50% chance to fire off wind arrows. Sorry, kind of forces you into going into this. I don't think you were taking this in PvP. I haven't been playing Hunter this much in season 2. I played mainly survival. This is why I'm kind of like survival Fury of the Eagle. So you're kind of forced in picking Fury of the Eagle, which I think is not really like, yeah, talent you usually want in PvP, and it's like generally, like for my testing at least, doesn't do like much damage anyways, so it's like, yeah, I'm kind of not a fan of the survival tier set currently. Hopefully, like there's some chances that it will get some changes, you know, so it might get changed completely, so we'll see. As far as the Paladins are considered, Holy One I'm not really like impressed with. I don't think it's gonna like change the gameplay too much, or it doesn't feel, to me at least, maybe I'm just wrong, sorry. On the other hand, Retribution I think is just good. Not much to say really there. His Perjuration lasts an additional 4 seconds, deals 50% increased damage, so we're gonna be taking this talent definitely. Casting Judgment in Divine Toll on the target with Experjuration causes Wrathful Sanctions, dealing holy damage to the target, resonates damage. So again, kind of an AoE tier set, but 4-set of Wrathful Sanction grants you Echoes of Wrath, causing your next Templar Verdict or Divine Storms to deal damage a second time. I think this is just gonna look cool. Again, one of those that just kind of adds onto your abilities. Of course, this second effect does not consume Judgment, but I'm gonna assume it also procs the damage from your like first, right, Templar's Verdict. So definitely gonna be cool. Protection, like, again, on the other hand, is like kind of those boring ones that I just don't think are gonna be good in PvP. It's like concentration focused, so I just don't think this is gonna be any good in PvP. Number off to the mages. Kind of the arcane one is not really that interesting. It does make our arcane missiles cleave, right? But just consuming clear casting increases spell damage. Just kind of a basic one, similar to the fire mage. I think it's not really like as interesting as the other ones. I think it's definitely gonna be cool. I don't know how strong it's gonna be. Again, Fire Mage, because crits are nerfed in PvP, so having crit damage increased when crits are already so nerfed in PvP, I don't know how good this is gonna be overall. So I'm definitely gonna... I definitely don't think, again, it's interesting as far as design point of view, right? Glacial Spike deals damage increased by 10%, and it explodes when it shatters a frozen target, dealing 20% of its damage dealt. Again, kind of keeping with the theme of AoE, right? And casting Glacial Spike has 40% the chance to trigger a Brain Freeze. Again, kind of like helping with the playstyle. I think probably Frost one is probably the most interesting out of the ones for me, maybe. Monk, Brewmaster, the only reason why I'm gonna cover this one is just because this might actually do a lot of damage. You might have some like double tank 2s comps or something, and Brew is like one of the tanks that like pops up you know, kind of on the ladder sometimes. So definitely keep an eye on Brewmaster. Mistweaver just kind of seems broken. Like 50% increased healing when you're renewing Mist, like jumps or your Chi Harmony, right? So I don't know, it just kind of seems broken, like just huge modifier right on your healing. It's kind of, yeah, I don't know what to say much about that. Like, it's sure it's gonna be 50% in PvP, but still it's just like not interesting design-wise, but it's like, okay, I don't know. Windwalker as well is kind of like, I don't know, like melee attacks will give you free spinning crane kicks. This can increase your damage of your next blackout kick, and that blackout kick can like additionally reduce cooldowns. So I don't know, it's like Windwalker is not really, yeah, not one of the classes that's getting something that's like new or interesting, right? Or like adding more to the class, I think, than like the class already has right? Priest, Discipline, bonus Smite and Penance damage is increased by 20%, and Smite extends the duration of active atonement. Kind of, you know, to make Discipline just sit there and do the DPS. I don't know, in PvP it's probably gonna be a little bit weaker, on the weaker side, just because you don't really get to sit and, you know, and cast Smite, right, that much. I guess if you get to sit there and cast, Smite has a chance to cast an additional time during Shadow Covenant and dealing shadow damage. So going into this damage-oriented playstyle, I think this is definitely, I don't know how, I don't think this is gonna feel good in the 3v3 department, but I feel like it's in 2s, this like Shadow Covenant is already like being very, very strong from my experience. So I think in 2s this is gonna make Priest like basically a second DPS, right? So I think yeah, be careful of this going 2s, I think. I'm not sure about 3s though. Now on the Holy side, it's actually an interesting tier set as well. Holy Word basically gives you Holy Word Serenity and to have a Renew that's basically free. Or sorry, Renew to give you your Holy Word Sanctify and Holy Word Serenity to basically not consume, to charge and to be free, sorry. Interesting, I think it's gonna, you know, enables gameplay, so definitely a good one. Shadow Word Death triggers 2 additional times at 50% effectiveness, triggers again 1 additional time at 50% effectiveness if that speaker is active and or target is below 20% HP. So kind of like a very good, interesting execute again, to set kind of enables abilities, right? All of these are, not all of these, but like many of these are quite interesting that they just kind of enable abilities to do more, right? Each time you take damage from Shadow Word Death, you gain a stack of Death's Torment, increasing the initial damage of your next cast of Shadow Word of Pain by 250%, or the damage of your next Shadow Crash by 50. Yeah, it's gonna be some big Shadow Word pains there. There's gonna be some big Shadow Word pain. Thankfully, this is gonna be like probably 50% in PvP, but still huge. Elemental, kind of an interesting one. Primordial Wave also casts Elemental Blast at the target and gives you all of the buffs. Yeah, very fun. It's probably gonna be very fun. I'm just scared of how much burst this is gonna do, right? For 10 seconds after using Primordial Wave, whenever you consume Lava Surge, your next Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning is insta-cast and deals 25% increased damage. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be insta-cast for days. Elemental tier set, really good, probably one of the best. And Harassment on the other hand, my bros, why do you nerf the build and then you force us to play basically this build? I'm pretty sure that unless in the PvP, how would you say, in the other changes, they are kind of affecting, offsetting the nerfs from like Lava Lash and like the Elementalist style build. I just feel like this is gonna be, yeah, feel not very good. Not gonna feel very good in PvP, right? In PvE, definitely gonna feel good, but in PvP, yeah. One of the worst, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but my opinion, I think this is one of the worst tier sets. Definitely the worst tier set for the class and how it's played in PvP, right? Restoration, Chain Heal and Healing Surge and Healing Wave mark their initial target with Tidal Reservoir. It's just kind of like doubling up healing whatever effect. Riptide healing is increased by 15%. If Riptide is active on the same target as Tidal Reservoir, it heal over time. Right, it just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't feel as interesting as like the Elemental one, right? Definitely. Rogues, we have some interesting ones, but we also have Assassination Rogue, which the 2 set is fine, but the 4 set, if it explodes and it breaks blind and it breaks sap, this is just, you know, bad in PvP, obviously, right? So they have to make this either not break sap and blind, which again is, to me, I really don't like if they do these things, right? Because there's some skill to not cleaving into blinded and sapped targets. So definitely think this is not gonna be good in PvP, just because of that. That's kind of my opinion. Again, unless they make it not break, which is again not good in my opinion. Outlaw, on the other hand, both of these are quite amazing. Sinister Strike has an additional 50% chance of additional striking an additional time. This will of course apply to your ambush as well, probably. I mean, I'm assuming. The one that's really interesting to me is Roll the Bones. Basically, copies one of the enhancements you already have, from what I understand, right? So, if you got the first time you got 1, right? Let's say the next time you're basically guaranteed to have 2, because it's gonna copy that one that you have, and it's also gonna roll new ones. So let's say you got 3. And you roll 1, you're gonna have 2, right? So it's always gonna you're basically guaranteed to have 2 every time you're casting Roll the Bones a second time, or you're casting Roll the Bones as you have the duration on you. So really good. I really think it's gonna help with the kind of RNG factor of Outlaw, and also like both of these are helping with RNG factors of Outlaw, and it's gonna make the spec be very consistent in my opinion, and definitely gonna be good, still good in PvP. Now the sub one is quite interesting. It's basically, you know, Shadow Clone Jutsu. Every time you're using Eviscerate, Rapture, Black Powder, you have a chance to basically just have a Shadow Clone Jutsu moment, and I think this is gonna be just fun to see, right, happening on kind of the battleground. And yeah, definitely seems good. Your Shadow Clones also deal increased 10% damage on your 4 set, and with all attacks, and grant you 2 combo points per clone when they are summoned. So yeah, I think this is gonna be just very interesting to see on the battlefield, and also I think it's gonna be good. Not like Elemental Shaman good levels, but definitely good. Warlock Affliction, kind of an AoE one. Soul Rot deals increased damage, lasts longer, and then Soul Rot increases basically your AoE damage, right? So it's kind of an AoE one. With Demo, I'm just kind of not sure how much Doombrand is does, right? So I'm gonna have to kind of skip it over, right? Because I'm just not sure how much Doombrand is gonna be effective. Like, I'm not really kind of a fan of this one. Destruction, on the other hand, Dimensional Rift can now summon a powerful Flame Rift, which is more instant cast burst damage for destruction. Definitely gonna be great in PvP. The reason why I'm rushing through these is because we are here at the Arms Warrior, and think this is just the best, just the best one. Rend damage increased by 30%, a bomb. It has a chance to trigger sudden death, a bomb. 4-set bonus, sudden death also now causes your next execute to cut deeply, causing the target to bleed for 50% of the damage of the execute, and triggers a thunderclap that deals 100% additional damage. Like, what? Like literally what? Like, this is like, I don't know, like, yeah, just godly, honestly, godly tier set, and this is gonna be so fun for me to play. I honestly can't wait to play some arms in 10.2. Like, this just feels so godly. Sudden death procs from like Rend, your Rend just dealing so much more damage, more cleave, more execute, free executes, more yeah, and also thunderclap being casted on your sudden, so you don't have to even like use thunderclap that much. Yeah, this one is just gonna be so much fun to play, and so good. Fury, they're finally trying to give Fury, I guess, more cooldowns, I guess. Odin's Fury deals 50% increased damage, so we're gonna definitely be playing some Odin's Fury, I assume, especially since our 4-set reduces the cooldown of Odin's Fury. Every time we crit with Bloodthirst basically has auto crit built into it, and also like with the 2-set it also has increased critical strike chance. So yeah, we're just gonna be playing Odin's Fury, and I think it's gonna be really fun. I think Fury doesn't win as much as Arms, but we have to wait to see, right? We'll have to wait and see, just because like all of a sudden Fury now has like a lot more pressure with Odin's Fury, especially with the Odin's Fury kind of build. You have kind of, it's probably gonna be like, you know, don't know, 30 or 20 something seconds. So definitely putting Fury more in line with arms in PvP, I think. Protection, spending range has a chance to cause your shield slam to consume all your bleeds on the target, instantly dealing 100% of the remaining damage and reducing the target's damage dealt to you by 10%. Probably gonna be nerfed in PvP, so we'll see how this is gonna work out, just because I'm assuming that this instantly dealing 100% is gonna be instantly dealing 50%, right? When your bleeds are consumed on the target, then your damage dealt to you is reduced by additional 2%. So again, most of these are very like, most of the tank ones are very like, I guess none of them are really damage focused, so I don't think they're gonna be really good in PvP, because I feel like tanks really need like the damage, more damage focused tier sets, right, to make them boosted in PvP, to basically do enough damage to have effect. In the interest of not making this video like too long, I'm gonna go over the PvP changes or the PTR changes in a separate video, so follow up for that. Like, comment, subscribe, all those things that YouTubers want you to do, and have a nice day.